walking through a ghost town. Y'all ain't playing my sounds. Don't tell me to calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. Only time I go backwards is when I wanna moonwalk. Don't test me, my mood's wrong. Don't test me, my mood's wrong. We are who we say that we are. You ain't lost in the stars, and it's all from the start. Never running no pace, never on the right page, but we still read that book, and we still run that race. Ay. Mississippi Racer riding out, no shortcuts, no time for that. Mississippi Racer riding out till the wheels fall off, I'm driving that. Mississippi Racer riding out, we'll stop burning, strike the match. Mississippi Racer riding out, red light, green light, red light, good night. Ay. Red light, green light, red light, good night. 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 Time to chill, don't sweat it.
Good morning and welcome. It is Coffee and Sports. It is the morning show powered by Wire to Wire Network. Excuse me. Thank you so much for making us part of your morning routine. I am Chris. And that over there, that is Mo. Mo, happy Tuesday, sir.
Happy Tuesday, partner, to everybody out there that's joining us this morning.
Mo, let's start with this. We have a couple of stars in the NFL that are looking to get to new teams that we didn't necessarily expect, which means we are not talking about Brandon Ayuk this morning, but instead we're going to talk about Haason Reddick with the New York Jets. Mo, you might remember that there were rumblings that Reddick was not happy with his deal in Philadelphia, and that is what triggered his move to the New York Jets last season. Now, at the time, many in Philly and around Philly, including the NFL genius himself, Gene, questioned Reddick's mantra and mindset going into the Jets, because once the trade was announced, he talked about how, he was excited to be there and a new deal was going to be on the horizon and everything was going to be good to go, Mo, once he got to the Jets. And that didn't exactly come to fruition. And now we are looking at a situation where he is once again unhappy with the deal that he was traded to the Jets with, which, by the way, Mo, if you're the New York Jets, you knew before you got him that he was unhappy with his contract. You knew that you were probably going to have to do something about that if you wanted him to be happy about his contract. The New York Jets have decided they were not going to do that. And now, Mo, to I think the surprise of nobody, he has requested to be traded from New York. Now, Mo, New York has said through back channels that they have zero intentions of trading him, which, by the way, why would you? When you gave up what you gave up just to bring him in last season. So I understand why the Jets have no interest in trading him, Mo, but it also appears the Jets have no interest in paying him more money, which is what he wants. So, Mo, where do you see the Reddick thing going? And is this a situation where the Eagles just keep looking better and better because they absolutely fleeced the New York Jets in this trade? And some would say they fleeced them without him demanding a new contract and holding out, much less him refusing to play for them.
Yeah, I you know what? You just got to give a shout out to Howie Roseman. He is just the best GM in football. He's always forward thinking. And look, Haason Reddick's a terrific football player. But you have to know that if the Eagles thought they could get him what he wanted, he'd still be an Eagle. Howie Roseman moved off of him because he realized he was at a number that Howie Roseman wasn't willing to pay. And then the Jets thought, well, we'll bring him in. He's still under contract for a year. And we'll have and they were under the impression that he's under contract for a year. He just wanted to get out of Philly, but you still knew he was looking to get paid. Why would you think if he was of the mindset that Philly didn't pay me, I'm going to be a problem there, that if he gets traded to New York, that he's going to go, I'm a Jet now. So now I'm not even worried about money. Money is not on my mind. I don't understand how New York even made that trade without having some assurances from him or his representation that he was going to be good with his current contract situation. And he never gave them that security that he was. The good thing about the Jets, if there is a good thing, before Reddick became a member of the Jet, Chris, it's still a top 3 defense. It's an elite defense. Adding him would make them that much more dominant, that much more potent on that side of the football. But if he doesn't play at all, I still think it's a top 3 defense. He would have just pushed him over the top. So I don't think they're in like football purgatory. I just think that Philadelphia got them. They just got. They got fleeced. This guy's going to be a problem throughout the season because you just said it. They don't want to trade him, but they don't want to pay him. Well, if you don't want to do either one, you're in football purgatory. He's not going to play for you. Then you don't reap the benefits of his talent. If he does a full sit out and doesn't play at all, and you gave away the assets you gave away, that's not just losing a trade, that's getting fleeced. So I don't understand their mindset. If we're not going to pay him and we can find somebody out there that values him the way we did, maybe we can get back some of our assets.
So when the Jets traded for Haason Reddick, his base salary this year is $14.25 million. And they talked to Reddick prior to the trade going through. And Mo, we don't know what those conversations were per se, but we are hearing out of the New York Jets side of things that they were given an indication by Reddick and his people that he was going to play on his deal. And many believe that is why the New York Jets went through with the deal, because they were given every indication that Reddick was going to play, on the deal that he currently has. And that's why the Jets went forth and they made the deal. So they make the deal. They bring in Reddick for a conditional 3rd-round draft pick. And Reddick has his introductory press conference back in April, I believe it was. And he says all the right things. He talks about how, his agents are going to do agent things. Agents are going to figure out the money side of it. I am just here because I am excited about what the New York Jets are going to do in 2024. And he said all the right things. He talked about him having the juice and him rubbing off on his new teammates and all this other stuff, Mo. And that was the last time the New York Jets saw him because he hasn't come to a single thing for the New York Jets since the introductory press conference. New York Jets general manager Joe Douglas, there was a quote yesterday in the New York Post. He says, "We have informed Haason that he will not be traded and that he is expected to be here with his teammates and that he will continue to be fined per the CBA if he does not report. Since the trade discussions back in March, we have been clear, direct, and consistent with our position." Mo, that is not the New York Jets putting out feelers that they don't want to trade him. That is not the New York Jets saying and talking and dancing around it and making it seem like they don't want to trade him. Mo, that is the general manager of the New York Jets coming out and saying he's not being traded. We traded for him under the notion that he was good, that he was going to play this year on his $14.25 million deal. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have made the move. And just because he's decided afterwards, Mo, that he doesn't want to play on it anymore, doesn't mean that we're just going to fold in on ourselves. So he's going to play, or he's going to keep getting the fines taken from him. I believe he is already over $100,000 in fines up to, as of yesterday. He is up to $100,000 in fines. And Mo, we are still, 3.5 weeks away from the start of the season. So those fines are just going to keep piling up as he continues to not come to things.
I'm wondering if Haason Reddick and his agent are making the calculation. Sure, they can fine us. You just pointed out he's on a deal that pays him about $14 million. So let's say he doesn't play at all and he sits out. What are those fines going to be over the course of a full season? Not probably a little bit shy of a full million, or maybe around 600,000 or 700,000. I guess what I'm saying is, do we think he can keep the lights on with $13 or $12 million? He probably does. I don't know if he's that stubborn, but I do get the idea he is. Let's be honest. Philly's a pretty good damn team, and he was and Howie Roseman is the best GM in football, and they couldn't get anything done. If you can't make it work with Howie, no offense to Joe Douglas, but it doesn't look good. it doesn't look good. Now, again, I want to point out to everybody, this is a tremendous Jets defense without Hassan Reddick. What's going to hurt them is obviously all the assets that they gave up to get him in a trade going forward. And look, you can make the argument, and it's the fair argument. Dude, you're under contract. Honor your contract. It really is that simple. You could say that. But you know and I know in today's sports, in today's professional sports, any player in their lame duck season, the first thing they're going to say is, especially if they played at a high level, is, I'm ready to get paid. I looked around. As pass rushers go, I'm one of the top pass rushers in football. I need to get paid. I need my money. And I think they're at a standstill. I don't think they're any close to signing Hassan Reddick or him playing than the Cowboys are CeeDee Lamb walking through the door. Because I don't think he's walking through the door until he gets his money. Same for Hassan Reddick. I think Joe Douglas is just going to have to take an L.
Just to clarify, Mo, Hassan Reddick was fined right around $100,000 in June when he missed mandatory mini camps. Since then, he has not come to training camp, and he has been fined $50,000 per day for missing training camp. Monday was day 21 of his holdout, which means he is just north of $1 million already in fines this offseason from missing all of the mandatory minicamp in June and missing the first 21 days of training camp, with today being day 22, which is going to be another $50,000 fine if he is not there. Oh, and by the way, according to the New York Post, if the Jets want to, there are also some additional discretionary fines they can throw in there as well each day, on top of that $50,000, which is negotiated with the union for him not coming to training camp each day. So he is already north of 1.1 million. He's going to pick up another 50,000 today. And there is a point where if the Jets wanted to, Mo, they can start imposing some other little fines to keep that number going up. So 14.25 million is what he's making. He's already lost over $1 million of that in fines for not coming. So we'll see. And, I get it. He wants to be paid, but he's done nothing. He's done nothing well in this situation. You forced your way out of a team that's a Super Bowl contender in Philly because you didn't get the money you wanted. You basically lied to your new team when they were going through the vetting process as to whether or not they wanted to trade for you. And you made them believe that you were going to play on your current deal, which obviously he had no intention of doing. So they make the trade for you. You come in, you're all nicety nice for your intro press conference. You say all the right things. And then you immediately go back on your word after that and basically say, I'm not showing up to another thing until a new deal gets done. Rightfully so. The New York Jets say, the hell with that. Right. Why would we do that? You literally just told us 3 days before you walked in the door, you're good. You're going to make it work this season, and we'll figure something out for you after the season. So I get the Jets being like, no, we're not going to pay this guy. He's only here because he said he was going to play on it. But we'll take money from you. You'll pay us to be a New York Jet at this point. And I don't think the Jets give in. So
good for them.
I agree. So at the end of the day, I think he plays.
You know what? It's a tough call. It really comes down to, because the Jets are playing hardball. They don't seem like they're going to waffle. At some point, as an agent, you have to have a come to Jesus conversation with your client and go, I don't think they're going to budge, man. And you're losing a ton of money. And you're actually devaluing yourself by not being on the field. If you miss a whole NFL season, teams look at you differently, because obviously you're going to age as well. And the way that you're handling this, nobody's going to trade for you thinking, why do we want to take that on if this guy's not going to be a professional? So his agent has got to get through to him on some level and go, you have to think about the long term in your career going forward. And look, it's one of those things where I really do think, as a fan, you'd rather just see them have an agreement where he'll come in, he'll report, and they'll continue maybe talking about an extension of some sort throughout the season, in good faith. but it sounds like Joe Douglas and company are dug in. And I think they're more dug in, Chris, simply by the fact that, like you said, he gave them every indication. Hey, once I get there, we're good. I've already
Right.
told you guys. I've already told you guys the situation in Philly didn't work for me, but I can't wait to be a Jet. I'm excited. And then he becomes a Jet, and he goes, "Oh, you know what, guys? It's the money thing. By the way, look, we never got that squared away, so I'm not going to report until you guys." And they're like, "Wait a minute, you didn't say anything like that. You and your agent played nice," and that's where I think Howie Roseman comes in, and Howie goes, "Look, we'll get you out of here. All you have to do is make nice with the Jets, nod your head, say all the right things, and then let them deal with you."
And that's exactly what's happening. The other person that we're talking about here who is in a similar situation is Matthew Judon with the New England Patriots. Reports are coming out this morning that multiple teams are interested in potentially trading for Matthew Judon, although there doesn't seem to be much movement on the Patriots side of wanting to move Matthew Judon. Now, I understand, Mo, the Patriots' stance here. The Patriots, he's a big piece of their defense. And you're looking at a team this season in the Patriots where if they're going to do anything, it's going to be because their defense keeps them in games. And maybe the offense figures something out along the way. But this is going to be a defensive-led unit this season because they simply don't have the firepower on the offensive side of the ball, especially when you take a look at what is in their division with the Dolphins, the Bills, and the New York Jets. So that being said, and they have a defensive-minded head coach who knows the value of Judon on the defensive side of the football, even though they got into a little tiff a couple of weeks ago. But that being said, I don't think the Patriots want to trade Matthew Judon,
No.
but ultimately, Mo, should they? Because if you're now, you're not looking at a team where you're saying to yourself, we're a playoff team, we're a Super Bowl contending team, we're a team where we can't afford to lose that piece on the defensive side, because ultimately, if we can figure it out, if we can get to common ground, if we can get Judon back in the fold, we good. And we want him to be a part of the team. Now, Mo, the other layer here is that don't forget, last week, the Patriots came out and said, we've offered Matthew Judon a new contract, and he turned down the offer, or he hasn't responded to the offer. It was one or the other. But the Patriots came out and said an offer has been made. The ball's in Matthew's court. And immediately, Judon came back on Twitter, now known as X, and said, no, they didn't. That's a lie. Stop lying on my name and trying to make me look bad. So, Mo, we already have the mucky waters here with Judon and the Patriots of someone's lying. Either the Patriots did offer him a deal and he just didn't like the deal, so that's why he didn't take the deal, which, by the way, he didn't say that. He said there was no deal. Or the Patriots didn't offer him a deal and they're actually trying to make him look bad in this negotiation or non-negotiation process. Mo, it's not a good look when one of your players is flat out saying on social media, the team is lying. They didn't do that. That never happened. That's not the truth. Stop making me look bad. That is not the opening of repairing a relationship.
It's not. And I think that once you start going back and forth with those kind of accusations, the player calling the franchise a liar, I think you get to a point of no return. I think you started to ask me earlier, would the Patriots consider trading him? They can say they won't, but I think they're willing to. You brought up a great point that it's not like, even though he's a very good football player, the Patriots are one player away from, like, we're going to be a 10-16. We're going to contend for the division. I would make the argument that they're basically in rebuild mode. Let's be honest, right? They're in a rebuild mode. They've got some good football players on the side of the defense, but they're not a dominant defense. And offensively, without any great playmakers, the best thing they could be offensively is they could be a good run team. They could run the football, be 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and don't turn the ball over. And I think that's probably their strategy, right? If we can run the football, win the field advantage, and be great on special teams and rely on our defense, we can win some tough football games. But if you know you're going to be a sub 500 team in a very tough division, and there's no light at the end of that tunnel anytime soon. When you look at the Jets, when you look at the Dolphins, even the Bills, how much do you value him? I mean, I'm not in no way am I saying he's not a really good football player that has value, but Chris, you're right. They're kind of in a rebuild mode. They don't even know what they have at quarterback. They know what they drafted, and they know what Jacoby Brissett is. We all know what he is. He's a solid, capable backup who just happens to be their starter. And there's no elite playmakers on the outside. They have good running backs, but nobody would say they have top 10 running backs. I don't even know if they have a top 10 offensive line. I don't think so. So
the line's terrible.
Right. So if your running backs are going to be getting made contact in the backfield 9 times out of 10, you are going to rely on your defense. But are you going to win football games even with a really good defense? I think the answer is no. They can say they're not going to trade him, but I think at some point they will trade him.
And again, you have to look at where the team is currently, and you can't get caught up. You also can't get caught up in how much you value him, because remember, your value of the player is not necessarily the rest of the league's value of the player. Just like if you're the San Francisco 49ers, your value of someone like a Brandon Ayuk, if it's less than what the league views for him, and the league, you have to be closer to where we are, the median, right? Your appreciation has to be closer to what the rest of the league sees, regardless of whether you value more or you value less. So in the situation of the Patriots, you may value him a lot in-house, and he may not want to be there, and you might be listening to offers from teams. You might be like, well, what is this? Like, they want to give me a fifth? Like, I don't know.
Right,
like,
right.
he's worth more than that, and maybe he is to you, but what is the rest of the league telling you that he's worth? Because if the rest of the league is saying, he's worth a 4th and a 7th, then he's worth a 4th and a 7th. And that's where we are. And sure, you'd love to get something higher at the end of the day, but you have to look at what the market is saying he is worth. And then you have to make a move based on that. And I think they should make the move because they're not winning this year. I don't think they're winning next year either. So if you're on a 2 or 3 year rebuild here in New England, he's not part of it. He is not part of that rebuild. Get some assets from him. Make it happen over there in New England. We're getting our gift gallery is getting lit up over here on the TikTok side of it. Queen Lily's dropping in some of those VR goggles as we are live on the air.
Wow, appreciate it.
I know, exciting stuff over here on the TikTok side of the world.
And you're right, Chris. You bring up a great point. He's not really part of their future.
No,
right? He's a good player, but he's not part of this rebuild. And they won't say it's a rebuild, but it is a rebuild. He's not part of that future. They may very well be a really good team in 4 or 5 years. He ain't going to be there.
Lily, don't be sorry. That was awesome dropping those goggles in there like that. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right, we got more to talk about here, Mo. Let's talk about my boy, Tyreek Hill. Now, there are some things that Tyreek said yesterday that I agree with, Mo, and there are some things that Tyreek said yesterday that I cannot agree with, whether I'm a Dolphin fan or not. Let's start with the things that I can agree with. Tyreek Hill yesterday was asked about Noah Lyles. Man, oh man, this guy is so popular around the water cooler right now, Mo. Everyone wants to talk a little bit about Noah Lyles.
Yeah.
On the TikTok side, Pausable is in the house, getting up there into that legendary donut box. But Noah Lyles, we know where he stands, Mo. His stance is that it doesn't matter the sport. You cannot call yourself a world champion if you win a Super Bowl or you win an NBA title or you win a World Series. You are not a world champion. You are simply a champion within the United States. And Tyreek Hill, like most athletes who have been asked this question, took offense to that. And Tyreek talked about how some of the greatest athletes in the entire world play in the NFL. And when you were talking about an athletic competition against some of the greatest athletes in the world, that is what takes place in the NFL each and every season. So he is going to call himself a world champion. He says that he was a world champion with the Kansas City Chiefs when they won their Super Bowl. And he said that if he wins one with Miami, he will be a world champion once again, regardless of what Noah thinks. Then, of course, he was asked the real important question, Mo. could you beat Noah in a race? To which Tyreek Hill said, absolutely. I would beat that guy 10 out of 10 times if we were to race. Now, obviously, if you are Noah, you have no incentive to take that race on because I don't know if he could beat Tyreek Hill in a race. Let's not forget, Mo, last season, Tyreek Hill randomly showed up at an Olympic qualifying event just because he wanted to see if he still had the juice competing against athletes who thought that they were fast enough to qualify for the Olympics. And Mo, he did well, just rolling in on a weekend to an Olympic qualifying event that was being held in the Miami area. He just showed up and he put down good numbers. That was him doing it on a whim, Mo. That was him on a Friday, hearing there was a qualifier event on a Saturday, and him saying, I'm not busy. I'll roll into that. Now, imagine if he actually was going to race someone like Noah. He would actually train for it. He would actually prepare for it. He would actually take it even more seriously than he took the one he just showed up to when he decided the day before. I don't know if he loses that, Mo. I'm not taking anything away from Noah, but Tyreek's a fast man.
And he would get an incredible start. He's that kind of guy. Like he can go from 0 to 60 that quick. If I were Tyreek Hill, I'd go a step further. Training camp's not over. Why don't we invite Noah to training camp? You know what I mean? play a little wide receiver or kick returner. You're a fast guy. Let's see what you can do in an NFL training camp. Look, and pressure bust pipes. If they were to race, Noah Lyles would have all the pressure in the world, right? All the pressure would be on him.
Yeah, pressure on Tyreek.
None at all. I don't think that race will ever happen because Noah Lyles, he's smart enough to know I have everything to lose in that race. It's not going to happen. And Tyreek Hill is no short. He's no short of confidence, Chris. He would walk into that race already talking about how he's going to win, and he appreciates Noah coming out there so Tyreek can beat him. I'm there for that race. I would love to see it. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but I would love to see it.
Well, I can see Tyreek being like, all right, so I brought my ring. You're going to put your medal on the line? You want to go gold for gold? You want to go my ring for your medal? What do you want to do here right now?
Right. I can see that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can see that. I just think Tyreek wakes up the most confident man on the planet, goes to sleep the same way. I would love to see that race because I think the pressure buildup would get to Lyles. I think Tyreek, look, I don't know if he would win, but I wouldn't bet against him.
The other thing that Tyreek said yesterday, I can't quite roll with him on. We know that Tyreek Hill was named the greatest player in the NFL, number one, according to the player ranking heading into this season. And there was much debate when that came out, and he was listed as number one. And he was asked about that. He was asked if he truly feels that he is the best player in the NFL heading into this season. And he was specifically asked, do you feel you are better than Patrick Mahomes? And once again, Mo, as you can imagine, no hesitation. He said, yeah, I am better than Patrick Mahomes. I am him. Now, of course, the person who was interviewing him needed some clarification other than the fact that you are him. So Tyreek opened up a little bit. And he talked about the fact that, Mo, he's about 5'8". He even said in the interviews, I'll bring it down a little bit. He goes, maybe I'm more like 5'7". But I think he's officially listed as like 5'8.5" or something along those lines. But he was talking about his size and his stature. And he was talking about how guys his size don't make it in the NFL. Guys his size don't play receiver in the NFL. Guys his size are not the best receiver in the NFL. He goes, listen, you got guys like Mahomes, and they're great. He took nothing away from Patrick Mahomes. He said Patrick Mahomes was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But he goes, when you look at a guy like Patrick, you look at his build, you look at his frame, he was built for this. He was built to do this. A lot of guys in the NFL, they are built for what they are doing. He goes, guys like me, all the short kings out here, Mo, we don't do this. We don't have this success. We don't break through those barriers. He goes, but I did. And he goes, and look what I did. And he ran down all his accomplishments, all his records, all the all pros, all of that. And Mo, I hear him. I hear what he's saying, because the short kings don't have success in the NFL, much less at the wide receiver position as the number one. All right. Yes, the short guys might be your slot guy. That might be your gadget guy. I get it. But it's not often you see a 5'8" wide receiver as your number one option, and he is easily top 3, if not the best receiver in the NFL. I hear everything he is saying, but Mo, I still don't think he's better than Patrick Mahomes.
I don't either. And look, the measurable things, I don't think that works. I think it's impressive what he's done as a number one wide receiver, and he's one of one. He's right. That's special. He's unique in that way. But you can't say, well, Mahomes was built for it. There are a lot of guys that were combine babies that were clearly better in the combines than Patrick Mahomes. Look where Patrick Mahomes wasn't drafted top 10. Look where he was drafted. I would argue that a lot of people, including myself, I remember when he first came out, I thought he might be pretty good. He might be I didn't know what he would be. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I know one thing. I'm honest. I didn't know Patrick Mahomes would be what he is right now. And as great as Tyreek Hill is, I want to remind Tyreek, the one Super Bowl ring you have on your finger is from Patrick Mahomes. You guys have not been teammates for a couple of years, and he's won 2 more minus you without a number one wide receiver. I think I have no problem with people ranking Tyreek Hill as the best wide receiver in football. He's certainly deserving of that kind of ranking. No worse than top 3. We agree on that. But I never thought he was the best football player. Like that, the fact that they ranked him number 1, I was like, I wouldn't go there. Not the best football player. I still think the best football player is Patrick Mahomes.
And I agree. So again, I love the confidence of Tyreek Hill, but you are not better than Patrick Mahomes. Now, if you wanted to say that he was the best receiver in the league, I would let him stand on that all day long.
Yep.
Because I will die on that hill as well. I would take Tyreek over CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase. I know others will not, but I think, Mo, it's fair that no matter who you are, if you're unbiased looking at the best receivers in the league, Tyreek is going to be in your top 3. Let's talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh Steelers. There is a lot of kerfluffle, if you will, coming out of Pittsburgh, because they were asked yesterday who's going to be the starting quarterback for, preseason game number 2. And Coach Tomlin said, I don't know yet. We'll figure it out during the week. And Mo, that has turned into a firestorm over the last 18 hours, because now the headline coming out of Pittsburgh is, how close is Fields to taking it away from Russell Wilson? Because clearly, Mo, if Mike Tomlin doesn't know who the starter is, that means that there's some indecisiveness between Russell and Justin, which means Justin has closed the gap, which means Justin is on the verge of taking the starting quarterback position away. Stop it. He just doesn't know yet. Does he want to see Fields get some time with the ones? Does he want Russ to get more time with the ones? Is he just waiting to see what they both look like in practice this week? How is that calf doing for Russ? Is the calf all better? Is Russ ready to go? Is Russ going to play a good little chunk in game 2 of the preseason? There could be a million different things he's waiting on, Mo. Maybe Justin has closed the gap. Maybe in Tomlin's mind, Fields might be a lot closer today than he was a month ago to be the starting quarterback. But everyone in Pittsburgh just needs to pump the brakes. Because at the end of the day, Mo, and we've already talked about this here on the morning show, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have no history with either quarterback. They're not paying either quarterback a ton of money.
Right.
We don't know if either quarterback is going to be on the roster next season. We assume that Justin Fields is the long-term answer. We assume that he is the one that's going to get the 3 or 4 years to potentially do something with the Steelers. But at the same time, if Russell Wilson comes out this season at age 36 and leads them to a division title and wins a playoff game, and he throws, 34 and 9 for touchdown to turnovers, and he's got over 4,000 yards passing, and he's completing 64% of his passes, you don't think Russ is going to come back for another year? I can see him bringing Russ back on a 2-year deal. I can see it. So we don't know what that situation is going to look like. The only thing we do know is that it is and regardless of what people want to say, it is a wide open competition. But it's a wide open competition in the sense of they're going to pick the guy that has the best chance to win this season. They're not going to sit here and do well, Justin might be the future of the franchise. Justin has the bigger seat. They don't have to have that conversation, Mo, because they're not invested into either. They both could be gone next season if something better comes along. I don't think that's going to happen. But if something better came along, neither would be here next season. Because right now, Pittsburgh is playing the mindset of we need the best guy come week 1. And whoever the best guy come week 1 is, that's the guy we want out there. So do I think that Justin still has a chance? Absolutely. But do I think that Justin is still behind Russell Wilson? Absolutely. Because I still think that Justin needs the refining, the fine-tuning that Russell Wilson doesn't need. So for me, Mo, I look at it and I say there's a plethora of reasons as to why he might not know who is starting yet. And I don't think one of them is because Justin Fields is about to be named the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers week 1.
And I feel like even though there's like a 10-year gap between them age-wise and they're at different stages in their career, in a lot of ways, they're both on the same boat. Russell Wilson is playing for his NFL career. Like, if he plays well, he'll be the starter. If he can play throughout the season, he might earn himself a 2-year contract for playing well. But if he plays bad and he falters and he loses the job, I think Russell Wilson is done as a quarterback in the NFL, cut and dry. Justin Fields is 25 years old, and all we talk about is potential and his talent and what he could be. But if he can't unseat Russell Wilson, I think this impacts his career going forward, and they look at him differently as well. I watched their preseason game the other night. He wasn't great. He didn't gain any ground on Russ. I mean, I'm sure he hasn't lost the competition, but he didn't make any headway either. If you watch him in the pocket, he pats the ball over and over and over because he's another one of those guys. He's got to see you wide open before he lets it go. There's no anticipation. He can't throw you open. He's at his best because he makes most plays into broken plays because he holds the football too long. Don't forget, these are the 2 most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL the last 2 seasons. They both hold the football too long for different reasons. I think what Fields is he just can't throw the football because he has to see you open. With Russell Wilson, he tries to extend plays too long, and so
they end can't up being anymore.
He can't move the way he used to, and he's trying to extend plays. It reminds me of what Big Ben looked at his last couple of years with the Steelers when he was never a burner, but he could extend plays. When he tried to those last couple of seasons, it just didn't work because he couldn't move anymore. I think it's an open competition. I think Tomlin has been straight and forward with us and all the other fans that he hasn't made a decision yet, and he values what you do on the field more than he values what you do in practice. So I do think Justin Fields is in play to be the starter, but right now it is Russell Wilson's job to lose.
And again, I just think it's one of those things where if the accuracy was there for Fields and the small stuff was there, the intermediate stuff, the finesse in the pocket, I think he'd be the starter. But I think that's the area that Russ is just better at. And I think they will. I think Pittsburgh would sacrifice the dynamic playmaking, the highlight reel stuff, the 3 or 4 times it's a game where you go, ooh, because you do that with Justin 3 or 4 times a game. You go, ooh, and he makes a really great play. And then 4 or 5 times a game, you're like, oh my God, he was open. Just put it on his hands. And that's the stuff that I think Pittsburgh is going to value more than the sizzle. And I think that's the gap that Justin has to close. And if he closes it, Mo, I think he will be the starting quarterback of this team.
Agreed.
It's just a matter of whether or not he can close the gap on the fundamental stuff and the little stuff. And and it's not even turnovers with him. I don't even think that it's a turnover issue with Fields. I think it's an issue of, can he be accurate? Can he deliver the ball quickly? Can he be efficient in his thinking and processing? That's the stuff he needs to work on. And he gets there, I think he will be the starting quarterback for the Steelers. I just don't think he's there yet. Speaking of starting quarterbacks, we always talk about, at least recently here on the morning show, how the path to the NFC or to the conference championship in the NFC is a lot easier than the path in the AFC because of the quarterback situations over there in the NFC. Well, with that in mind, Mo, let's take the end of the show today to actually figure out what is happening over there in the NFC. So here is what we're going to do. We are going to go through all of the quarterbacks in the NFC, and we are just going to start stacking them on top of each other. And it's going to be a situation where we start with one, and we're just going to put them on the list. And then as we come to the next one, based on who is currently on the list, we're just going to slot them either above or below based on who we think they're better than and who we think they're not quite as good at. And Mo, when it's all said and done, we are going to have a top 16 list of the best quarterbacks in the NFC. So let's start with Bryce Young of the Carolina Panthers. Since he's the first one, all we're going to do, Mo, is we're simply just going to put him on the list because we got nothing else to compare him to right now. So congratulations, Bryce. By default, you are currently number one on the list. For the next 15 seconds, you are the best quarterback in the NFC. Maybe you might last a little bit longer than that because the next one up is Daniel Jones. Are we putting Daniel Jones above or below Bryce Young heading into this season?
I'm putting him below him.
All right, Bryce Young, you are still the number one quarterback in the NFC with Daniel Jones coming in behind you. Let's talk about who we got next. Let's go Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins going ahead of both of them?
Absolutely. Nope, not even close.
Kirk Cousins is now the number one quarterback in the NFC. How about where are we going to next? Let's go to the Washington Commanders. They got a rookie quarterback over there. Where are we putting Jaden?
I think, you know what? I think Jaden's going to be better than Bryce Young. I think he's going to be better than, well, you know what? Yeah, he's going to be better than Daniel Jones. But he's not going to be better than Kirk Cousins. Like that's if he's better than Kirk Cousins, the Commanders are going to have a tremendous season. Look, as a fan, I hope that. No, I'm talking about if Jaden Daniels better than Kirk Cousins. I don't see that, but I can see him being better than the other two for sure.
So what we're going to do is we are going to put him right below Kirk Cousins.
Correct.
All right, let's go to the Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray. Right now our ranking is Cousins, Daniels, Young, and Jones. Where does Kyler fall in with those four?
You know what? Again, because Kyler's he's proven it. I'll put Kyler behind Kirk Cousins and ahead of Jaden Daniels.
Nice job for Kyler. He's currently the number 2 quarterback in the NFC, which, by the way, Mo, it wasn't that long ago that people really did think he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC. Injuries have hurt him a little bit. His own playmaking and decision-making has hurt him a little bit. But right now it's Cousins, Murray, Daniels, Young, and Jones. Let's go to the New Orleans Saints. Let's go to Derek Carr. Where do we like Derek Carr? Cousins is number 1. Murray is number 2. Jaden Daniels is number 3.
I guess Derek Carr is ahead of Daniel Jones and Bryce Young.
But not ahead of Daniels.
Nah. I'm not.
Right.
Look, I'm not. You know, I'm not a Derek Carr guy.
I know you're not.
I'm sure JG might come in here and say, "Yeah, he's."
I support it. All right, let's go to the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears have a shiny new quarterback over there, Mo. Where does he fall?
Look, I'm one of those people. I have to see it, but with Kirk Cousins being at the top, I would put Caleb Williams ahead of Kyler Murray behind Kirk Cousins.
All right. So right now, Kyler would be the second best quarterback in the NFC. We still got a handful more to go. No one get all excited. All right. No one get all excited. So Caleb Williams slotting into the number 2 spot right behind Kirk Cousins right now. Let's go to the Seattle Seahawks and Geno Smith. So Cousins is 1, Williams is 2, Kyler is 3, and then Jaden Daniels is 4.
I would put Geno behind Jaden Daniels.
We are building a list over here, guys. We are building a list right now. Poor Derek Carr. Derek Carr just falling down Mo's list over here.
But he's not last. He's not last.
It's because Daniel Jones is last. Come on now.
I mean, yeah, that's a given, but sure. Sorry, Giants fans. I know.
Next up, let's go to Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield. So Cousins is 1, Williams is 2, Kyler is 3.
And who's
Jaden
behind?
is 4. Geno is 5.
I'm going to put Baker ahead of Geno.
All right, so right ahead of Geno Smith, but right behind Jaden Daniels. That is where we are going to see one Baker Mayfield. The Baker train is a real thing, Mo. We talked about it last season. All right, how about the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts? Is he better than Cousins?
I think he's a better football player. I don't think he's a better quarterback. He's a better his skill set and what they do, and you'll see it this year probably for sure because of what they have in the backfield with Saquon. So I think that he's set up to have an MVP caliber season. So I'm going to put Hurts ahead of Kirk Cousins.
All right, Hurts is going ahead of Cousins right now. Hurts is in the number 1 spot in the NFC. Let's keep it pushing. Let's go to the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love. Where are we putting Jordan Love on this list? We got Hurts number 1, Cousins 2, Williams 3, Kyler is 4, Daniels is 5, Baker is 6.
I will put Jordan Love ahead of Jordan Daniels, or McDaniels, Jaden McDaniels. I'm sorry.
All right, so Jaden's going to drop down. Jordan is going to enter the list, at least for right now, at number 5 in the NFC. We still have a handful more of quarterbacks to go today. Now we're going to go to the Minnesota Vikings. I guess we're going to go
Sam
Darnold because he's the projected starter and not J.J. McCarthy, who, by the way, Mo, is nursing a knee injury, not practicing. So that's not great news. But if we're going Sam Darnold, Jaden Daniels is 6, Mayfield is 7, Geno is 8, Carr is 9.
I can save you the time. I'm just putting him ahead of Daniel Jones.
He gets 1 bump. That's all he gets from you.
Yeah, that's all he's getting from me.
He's the next Steve Young. What are we talking about, Sam?
Maybe in practice.
Sam Darnold just 1 bump ahead of Daniel Jones. Let's go to where are we going next? We are going to the San Francisco 49ers, Brock Purdy.
Brock's probably the toughest one to rank out of all these quarterbacks.
So Hurts is 1, Cousins is 2, Williams is 3, Kyler is 4, Jordan Love is 5.
I'm not a big Jordan Love fan, but I understand what Brock is. I'm gonna put Brock right ahead of Jordan Love. That's me.
So that's going to knock Jordan Love outside of the top 5 in the NFC. That's going to put Brock Purdy into the 5th position right now in the NFC. As we keep pushing forward, we go to the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff.
That's a really good one. I honestly, because of what he does in that system with those weapons, I'll put Goff right behind Hurts. I think he's going to have an MVP caliber season as well.
I think Jared Goff is going to have an absolute monster season with the Lions this year. So we got Hurts number 1, Goff number 2, Cousins number 3. Who do we got left? Do we have any NFC quarterbacks left? We have Matthew Stafford.
This is the wild card right here. Stafford could be behind Cousins, or he could be ahead of all of them. It's just a wild card. He might be the toughest one to rank because you made me a believer of Stafford. I mean, I've seen what the guy can do. He's coming into this year healthy. He's going to have Kupp, Puka Nacua. He's got a running back behind him. I think the Rams are going to be the team that scares people the most. This is a tough one. I would put him. I'm going to put him ahead of Cousins and not ahead of Hurts, but I'll put him ahead of Cousins.
So it's going to go Hurts, Goff, and Stafford is going to be Mo's top 3 right now. So let me drop down Cousins and put in Stafford. And then, Mo, the final quarterback in the NFC, Dak Prescott for the Dallas Cowboys. Here is the current top 5: Hurts, Goff, Stafford, Cousins, Caleb Williams.
I'm going to put Dak right behind Caleb Williams.
Dallas Cowboy fans are not going to like that, Mo.
You guys don't have a wide receiver. Deal with it.
That's true. But don't worry. They miss him, Mo. They miss him.
they miss him, but they just don't want to pay him. Got you.
Mo, here is your ranking of the quarterbacks in the NFC. Number 1, Jalen Hurts. Number 2, Jared Goff. Number 3, Matthew Stafford. Number 4, Kirk Cousins. Number 5, Caleb Williams. Happy so far?
I'm fine with that 5.
Number 6 is Dak Prescott. Number 7 is Kyler Murray. Number 8 is Brock Purdy. Number 9 is Jordan Love. And number 10 is Jaden Daniels. Good so far?
I'm still good.
And then the bottom of the NFC, 11 is Baker Mayfield. 12 is Geno Smith. Derek Carr is 13. Bryce Young is 14. Sam Darnold is 15. And then Daniel Jones is the worst quarterback in the NFC, according to our rankings.
I could be wrong.
That's a good list. That's a good list right there.
I want to point out, Saints fans, as we get along in the list, Derek Carr actually got further away from the bottom. So I'm just saying.
He did. I mean, he's got 3 guys underneath him.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. If you're a Derek Carr guy, maybe you put him ahead of Geno. Maybe you put him ahead of Baker. That's it, though. He's not a top 10 quarterback in the NFC. So you can't be too upset about it if you're a Derek Carr guy.
I think that's my biggest beef with Derek Carr, the player. You have to say stuff like maybe he's ahead of Geno and maybe he was ahead of Baker. We went into last season and everybody said that division was the Saints division to lose, right? It was that they were supposed to win that division and they didn't win because I think Baker Mayfield was the best quarterback in that division.
Enough said. I like your list a lot, Mo. I think I might have had Brock ahead of Kyler, but I like Kyler Murray, and I think I like Kyler Murray more than most. So I actually like the fact that you have him ahead of guys like Brock Purdy and Jordan Love. Despite my takes on Jordan Love, I do think he should be in the top 10. I think he should be ahead of the guys he's ahead of right now: Daniels, Mayfield, Smith, Carr, Young, Darnold, and Jones. I don't think he should be ahead of Purdy, Prescott, Williams, Cousins, Stafford, Goff, or Hurts. Right. I think there could be an argument made to have him ahead of Purdy, Prescott. I think there could be an argument to switch him with Kyler Murray. If you're a Packers fan, fine, you can make that argument, but I like Kyler more than I like Jordan. I love this list. I'm a big fan of this list. We're gonna ask the NFL genius tomorrow what he thinks of this list.
You know what? That is the perfect person to ask. If anybody can dissect this list and really correct it or move things around, it's going to be the NFL genius. But I think he's going to like it for the most part.
I think he's going to like it too. And then tomorrow we're going to do the AFC side of it with the NFL genius. So he's going to help craft the AFC side of it. We already have the NFC side of it ready to go. And Mo, that's the end of us today on a Tuesday. Take us to the end, sir.
Thank you guys so much for joining our Christmas morning. We appreciate you guys so much for waking up and starting your day with us. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.
Hey, make sure you're back here, same time, same place tomorrow. Like we just said, the NFL genius himself, Gene from Wire to Wire Sports, he's going to be here. He is going to critique our NFC list of quarterbacks, and we're going to get his take on it. We are going to create our AFC list of quarterbacks, and this is all going to be leading to next week when we have the full list of quarterbacks in the NFL, 1 through 32. We're always building things in here. We also got Will on the show tomorrow. Will's going to be here talking NBA, specifically whether or not certain coaches are on the hot seat coming into the upcoming NBA season. All of that and more. Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show powered by